President Obama is in the middle of a four-nation tour to Asia. He began in India, he's in Indonesia now, and then he's going to South Korea and Japan. On this trip, he's working on the bilateral relations with these countries, of course. He's going to some of the multilateral meetings like the G20 and APEC. But more importantly, this is part of the administration's move to really expand U.S. relations with Asia. The U.S. interest in Asia is really multifaceted. Even before Obama came into office, we were seeing some signs that probably around the second half of his first term, he was going to try to reinvigorate U.S. relations in the region. Indonesia is very important for economic reasons, for the flow-through of trade through the Strait of Malacca and other areas. It also sits as the base of the South China Sea. And this becomes a very important strategic location for the United States and for its allies. After Indonesia, Obama is heading to South Korea for the G20 meeting. This meeting is going to focus fairly heavily on issues of currency. There are questions of a currency war that are swirling around right now. The trip to South Korea also focuses on U.S.-South Korea relations. South Korea has often been seen as kind of a second-tier partner in U.S. security relations in Northeast Asia. The South Koreans are trying to position themselves as a country that is more willing and more ready to join in a stronger relationship with the United States, to take part in regional security activities, to take part even internationally. When Obama visits Japan, he's going to be dealing with both APEC and with the Japanese themselves. There's been a lot of tension between the United States and Japan since the Democratic Party of Japan took power, particularly over Okinawa and U.S. basing issues. However, in recent months, an appearance of a more assertive and even by some observations more aggressive activity by the Chinese in the East China Sea and even by the Russians more recently has made Tokyo rethink its security relations with the United States and try to draw Washington back in and maybe offer its services a little more than it's been doing in the past. On this trip, one of the things to note is that Obama is only going to existing or emerging U.S. allies. So India, Indonesia, South Korea, Japan. From the Chinese perspective, this is somewhat troubling. He's not visiting China, and that's in part because he wasn't invited and because Hu Jintao is going to be coming to the United States early next year. But China perceives this visit in some ways as part of the U.S. encirclement of the Chinese expansion in the region. The U.S. is launching a new Trans-Pacific Partnership Initiative, which is in some ways a counter to the Chinese-ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. The U.S. is looking to build new sets of relationships. So we've expanded military contact with Vietnam, with Cambodia, in addition to with our traditional allies in the region. In general, what we're seeing is that Washington is saying it's time to come back to Asia. And the military will say that, well, we've never left Asia. But the U.S. attention to the region has certainly been much lower than it was in the past. And this comes at a very interesting time because this is the same time that we see China becoming more assertive in the region, and we're seeing Russia really try to come back and say that it too needs to pay more attention to the Pacific half of Russia than it has in the past. We expect in the coming years to see this region become much more dynamic as the three large powers position themselves as they compete, and as we see the evolution of countries like Japan, India, Indonesia, and Vietnam in this new environment.